So TOBA II trial is basically one of the TACK trials that assessed the patency rates after angioplasty and dissection repair with these tacks in the SFA through the P1 segment of the popliteal. And the CDTLR, the clinically driven target lesion revascularization, in this population was 14.6, meaning 31 out of 213 ended up having some form of reintervention. And what we did at the Syntropic core lab is out of the 31, we had 28 of these patients available for independent adjudication of the restenosis. The primary goal, and eventually the paper was published, was to assess basically the restenosis patterns, because this is the first time this was done, because this is a new device. So it sort of makes sense to understand when the patients return, what are their stenosis patterns looking like. Now, we also wanted then to sort of compare how these patients, who we are going to have a descriptive study when they come back to look at their restenosis patterns, compared to those that come with stents. Meaning, when you place a stent, when those folks come back, what is their restenosis pattern? And the well-known criteria, the Tosaka criteria of in-stent restenosis, where they took 133 patients, and at 24 months they looked at the restenosis criteria and categorized them into class 1, class 2, class 3. And class 1 is anything less than 50 millimeters in length, or 5 centimeters. Class 2 is greater than 5 centimeters in length, and class 3 is a total occlusion. We have to understand that this is the first study. The restenosis patterns were looked in 28 of the 31 patients, but with the information at hand, in a well adjudicated, well conducted trial here, we note that when patients are coming back with restenosis in the TACK group, they're coming in with shorter lesion lengths compared to when one would get stented. Obviously, each patient is different, each indication is different, and each dissection is different, but in appropriately placed patients, the percent stenosis and the lesion length of the stenosis seems to be smaller compared to those with the stents. The two learning points for me from this study was, when you look at the restenosis patterns, the restenotic areas were, far more either above, below, or in between the tacks. So one of the teaching point for me is, are we missing any dissections after the tacks are placed? And should we look more carefully for those to prevent even the low 13% CDTLR, which was reported in TOBA II already. And the second thing is, again, like I said, we now know, at least from the initial data, that when patients are presenting, they're presenting with shorter lengths and going out with, a smaller amount of metal when they get treated in their legs.